Hey everyone, it's Michael. I hope you're doing well today. I have a video here that's kind of a follow-up or a sequel or basically a straight-up part 2 to a video I made last fall about why I hate comic conventions. And this is part 2 of that. Last fall, and mind you, in Virginia in general, there's a lot of Comic-Cons that come up. And I haven't been to one in like 5 years. Like right after I got married, I think was the last time I went. And there was no real reason for why I stopped going. It was cool seeing the costumes and stuff. I would see friends of mine from like school and good buddies of mine. My childhood best friend would go a lot of the time. And it was cool. There was a lot of stuff to pick up. I'm a trade comic collector, so I would go pick up some trades and I'd find some cool stuff here and there. Anyway, never really been big on meeting celebrities and stuff. I talked more about how ridiculous the pricing of meeting celebrities is in the last video. I don't think there will ever be a part 3 to this series. I doubt it after what I witnessed this time. But it's not super crazy, but some of it is just unbelievable, dude. I guess the place I could start at, I knew that my childhood best friend was going. We were really excited to meet up, even though it's been like 5 years since I've been to one of these things. And I have a cousin and my cousin's husband too, that had never been to one, surprisingly enough. They're big geeks like me. And they wanted to go, so I drove them, and we met up with my childhood best friend for a few minutes out in one of the areas in there. It's huge. It was really easy to get lost in there. And I did not realize how much things have changed, how different they are. My biggest goal was to go in and find trades, and especially Marvel Essentials and DC Showcase from back in the day. And that's what I wanted. If I found anything else, like, some cool figures or something, I'd grab them. But I'm not really one of those people who go and buy, like, art and whatnot from the artists. I know that sounds awful, but I've bought a total of one Matt Gargan Venom design from somebody, and it was fantastic. I still have it over on my shelf. I don't know who the artist was. Not anybody you'd probably know. Probably somebody just locally. But it was cool. Anyway, getting to the actual stuff that happened this weekend. I went to all of the different stands from all of these companies all over Virginia. I think one of them was from like South Carolina, Myrtle Beach, I think. I went all over the place, asked every single person I could find that worked in these particular comic areas, and usually it was a team of people from shops. I would ask them, hey, do you have any trades? Now, mind you, we're talking about tables with long boxes in front of them. These are stores that specify in comic sales. And I know that's hard to imagine. Most of these stores sell toys and merchandise and anime and manga, maybe a DVD or a Stephen King novel here and there. I asked them if they had trades. This is something you're not going to believe, but you have to understand I have no reason and no purpose to lie about this. Most comics are so decompressed that I think most readers lean towards trades nowadays. 95% of the people I asked that work at these tables did not know what I was talking about until I explained that it was a collection of comics. They didn't know what an omnibus was, as we talked about it. They didn't know what a compendium was, which is weird because one of them was selling an Invincible compendium, the first one. And I almost grabbed it, but they wanted cover price, and I was like, that looks kind of beat up. Anyway, so I asked every table in there, and that's pretty much the first thing I went to. My cousins and I split up. I went everywhere asking comic guys if they had trades. I had one hippie guy basically tell me some horse shit. He sounded a lot like the dude that was like the adult turtle from Finding Nemo. He was like, it's all about the adventure and discovery, man. You just have to look in. The trades are mixed in with the long boxes, and you just have to take your time and mellow out and say, you know what, I didn't find what I was looking for, but I think I found this, and this could be a good thing sufficiently. Bro, there was not one trade in any of those long boxes he tried to bullshit me on. Not one. I looked through so many of them very quickly. There was not one, because everything else was backed and boarded, right? 95% of these people told me they did not know what I was talking about. There was one guy, one table. Okay, hold on. There was 2 tables. One that is another store in Virginia. Seemed like a really cool guy. I'd like to visit out there sometime, but it's pretty far away too. He knew what trades were. He didn't bring anything with him, which surprised me, because again, you have a lot of normies that go to Comic-Cons. You think you would have something prepared like that? Every single issue at every one of these tables One issue at the lowest would be about $10. And some of them would have deals where you could get like 2 for 12, which was odd to me, you know? You think it'd be like 3 for 10, but no, that's how bad the comic industry is, and it's how bad it's treated comic shops now. I don't blame the shops for this issue. And some of the singles looked okay, but it wasn't anything I wanted to pick up, or it would be a series like Star Wars Legacy where you have, God, like what is it, 50, 100 issues, something like that, and I was like, nah, this isn't going to happen, bro. So anyway, the other table that I found was one of the first ones I went to. They knew what trades were, the two different guys I talked to at 2 different times that day. They knew what trades were. The only one they had with them was, apparently, I didn't know this existed, but a sequel to Mark Waid's Kingdom Come. Mark Waid wrote it as well. I just read Kingdom Come. I was super interested, but it was like a big, bulky hardcover. It was like $50, $60, something like that. The guys were super nice, super helpful, until this happened. Until this part. This was not advertised at all to me. I was talking to these guys, and mind you, I looked at online. I kind of keep up on who's coming and whatnot, and we've had some okay celebrities in the past. Nobody I've ever met, especially the years that I didn't go, we had some cool ones I didn't get to meet. But this guy was talking, he's like, oh yeah, man, you could just buy this trade right here from me. It's a good book. I think you'll dig it if you liked Kingdom Come, if you like Waid's work, and you could just take it over there and get him to sign it. And I looked at him, and I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, you just buy the book and you can go over there and get him to sign it. I was like, what do you mean? Do you mean Mark Waid is here at this convention? And he looked at me, and something happened with this guy and the other guy that was helping too. They got this look in their face like they thought I was a normie, and maybe there's a debate there that I could be. But they were like, yeah, you didn't know Mark Waid was going to be here? And they said it in that tone, like, I'm an idiot. And it kind of put me off, so I didn't buy the book. I didn't say anything else. Told him to have a good day, whatever. And like I said, I came back around later and asked the other guy, since I didn't find any other trades. I started to buy that one, ended up not doing it. I talked to another guy, the secondary guy that was helping. So then I'm wandering around. Most of these particular sections are very odd. They're mostly artists trying to get some work and trying to get you to buy drawings, and those drawings were sick, dude. I met this one guy named Steve. He works on some industry stuff. No one was at his table, and I thought he was such a cool, down-to-earth dude. Had some of the coolest Batman and horror drawings I've ever seen in my life, in black and white too, mind you. But then I met like this one guy, and it's killing me trying to find his name. Not one person, not my childhood best friend, not my cousins, no one I knew remembers this guy. No one saw him, no one talked to him but me. There was this other guy that my wife will never let me live this down. Even though she wasn't there, I told her the story and she's laughed about it nonstop. Maybe you'll enjoy this too. I talked to this one guy. It was kind of one of those things where it's a local author. I think he was from North Carolina. I could be wrong. But he had written a couple of books. They were sci-fi parody types of things. He explained them to me when I asked about it, and he had a whole nother rack of local authors too that couldn't make it. And I thought that was kind of nice. You know, most people don't do that. Booths are not cheap to rent at these kinds of things. I talked to him briefly, and I noticed there were 2 like artwork panel things that looked kind of photoshopped. I didn't really pay a whole lot of attention to them, hanging from, behind him. And there was a curtain behind that, separating him from the next guy behind him. And I didn't really pay attention to the photos that much. I kind of glanced up and then looked back at the book covers because they were interesting, all of them, the local authors and this guy. And introduced myself. His name was Mike as well. I do not know what his last name is. I cannot find him on any guest list or anything online. We got to talking about his books, and I just, asked him how business was doing today. He said not too great, whatever. And he was trying to sell me on one of his books, and it was kind of like a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy parody type of thing. It sounded okay. I'm not a big fan of sci-fi, or even parody for that matter in book form, but it could have been okay. Well, he says, well, let me show you something. And he points over his left shoulder to one of the art panels behind him that I hadn't really paid attention to, right? And there's a white guy and then like 5 other creatures around him. Now just give me a second. I'll get there and describe what the creatures were. The guy in the middle was just a white guy with a beard. He looked like me, but handsome. And he was like, that guy right there is Commander such and such. And I was like, okay. And then he said, now in my lifetime, I had 5 dogs that, throughout my whole life, I decided to put them in my work. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Dean Koontz does stuff like that. Other writers do that. He begins to point to each of the other figures around the guy with the beard in the Photoshop. And he says, each of those 5 dogs are this dog, and this dog by name of the dogs that he owned in his life. They're named that in the books, I think, too, the way he talked. But I had kind of tuned out at this point, because then I saw this one dog. All of their heads were photoshopped onto, like, humanoid body frames. I am not fucking with you when I tell you. One of the ones towards the bottom left was a shirtless, very cut and ripped man who then had, like, a Photoshop of some sort of a dog's fur pattern put over his abs and whatnot, all over his body, where he was shirtless, and the dog looked like he was about to rape me. Bro, I cannot figure out who this guy is. I cannot do it to save my life. He was such a nice guy, it occurred to me very quickly this is furry porn. And I was like, oh my God, people have seen me standing here talking about this shit with him, and he didn't tell me that's what this was, and I didn't notice the picture. It wasn't on the book covers or anything like that. Dude, no one in my friend group, my family, my wife, no one will let me live this down now. We were laughing so much at a family gathering after this past weekend. They did not believe me on this. No one can find out who this guy is. We've done every bit of research like we were the FBI to find this guy. We cannot find him. He doesn't exist in the damn database at all. Anyway, great little story from this terrible-ass Comic-Con where I literally could not find a freaking thing to buy. My cousin, the boy that's married to my actual cousin, he got a blanket for Terrifier. He got a couple of stickers for he and his daughter, stepdaughter. And, he found some stuff he liked. My actual cousin, his wife, and I did not find anything. And this is the first time I've ever went to a Comic-Con and did not find, like, something, I went out to the celebrity area. I want to kick myself in the teeth because you had a couple of people I actually thought would be cool to meet. Like, great example, the yellow Power Ranger from Power Rangers Lost Galaxy. One of the finest chicks in Power Rangers history ever was there. And I didn't recognize her because they did not show the skimpy skirt and like Amazon outfit that she wears as a character in the show. They did not show that on the banners they put up behind her. They just showed her Yellow Ranger costume. I didn't see the black diamonds on the costume. I literally just watched this show, didn't recognize her. A lot of people in line for her. I'm really excited about that. I'm really thankful for that. There were some other celebrities you may or may not know. But then I saw him. I saw Mark Waid, and he looked like such a dickhead. And dude, I love Mark Waid's work. Super clever writer. Really well done stuff. Like I said, I love Kingdom Come. I just read that last year. It's one of those ones that's so interesting in how it's written that you can't help but wonder if you like it at first or not, and then it kind of grows on you the more you think about it. That's how Kingdom Come was for me last year when I read it. I didn't review it for the channel, but still, he just looked like he'd be an asshole. And it took everything in me with what I've seen in the comic community over the last few years. It took everything in me not to go over and like shake his hand and say, hey, how's your boy Zach doing? Just to see what his face would do. But I had to like have a conversation with God and realize that I shouldn't do that, that I should be a lot nicer than that. So I decided not to do it. I didn't go talk to him, didn't shake his hand because I didn't want to be rude. But I wanted to because it's my human nature, my sin nature. So anyway, that was pretty much the Comic-Con adventure. I bought nothing. My cousin bought nothing. It was so lame and bad now. And that might just be this location, but mind you, also in Virginia, there's another one. I think it's GalaxyCon or something. They just refused to have Dean Cain there like last week because of his politics. That's where we're at now. These comic conventions suck more and more. I'm too old to recognize half of the costumes that kids are dressing up as now. I saw a Darth Vader. I saw a Heath Ledger Joker that was a super nice guy. Saw some Star Wars stuff from the old Legends canon that was badass. I saw one really cool Max Fleischer Superman in a costume, and that was it too. Everything else were characters that I do not recognize. I met this one really cool guy. I just complimented his costume. He explained to me it's not even like a character from a big franchise, which made me look like an asshole. He created his own. I want to promote him here. Super, super cool guy. I don't know how easy it'd be to find a website or something from him, but his character's name, his comic name that he showed me, is called Zoomerman. And I don't know anything about it, but he was a super cool guy. And no joke, I would buy it just because of how friendly he was. Take note, comic creators out there from Marvel and DC. This indie guy that literally has like one issue of his comic and came up in a cosplay and was friendly and cool and sweet. He totally sold me on some shit that I probably would never pick up, to be honest with you. Not because of the book, just because of my interest and my taste. But now I'm totally willing to try this guy's book out. So anyway, that's pretty much my adventure the other day with this current Comic-Con thing going on. What a disappointment, man. Most of the stuff was toys. You had mostly single issues, which I was glad to see that. Maybe somebody would buy things there, but dude, $10 an issue is just too high. I don't care if it's old comics or new comics. If it's a collectible, I get it, but some of these people were charging like $175 for the first appearance of the Red Hulk. What? Is that really actually that beloved? I don't think it was back when I was in school and that became a thing, when that first released. I wasn't even into comics yet, but nobody was talking about that in my friend group who read comics, who got me into comics. That didn't happen. That $175, it wasn't graded or anything. Some people were selling graded comics, and I mocked them over it. Not to their face, but behind them. The pricing on the graded comics was insane to me. But anyway, that's pretty much all of my thoughts about this convention, like I said. What a disappointment, dude. There's another one in the fall, like I said, and I just don't want to go. It's more expensive now to go. The admission is like an extra $5 now. If you buy it online, it's like an extra $10 for some reason because of ticket marketing and whatever. This is not worth this adventure and waiting out in the cold and stuff anymore. It's just not. My cousins who had never been had a really good time. But no joke, we left Barnes & Noble after this, and I found a book I actually wanted. And so, like, I'm disappointed, you know? And I'm really surprised that local comic shops, their employees, and, like, barely any of the owners, I guess, because some of them only had one person at the table. I'm assuming they usually bring two as standard for safety. I'm not kidding. The fact that they don't know what trades are is shocking to me. That worries me a lot, and that just kind of proves what's going on with the comic industry. It feels like no one actually knows what's going on, and it kind of explains to me, too, why none of them carry manga. It could be like, like a way to get their hands on it for a certain price in bundles and then sell them for regular cover price to customers. I don't know what the issue is. If anybody knows why local comic shops don't sell manga, at a lot of stores, at least none of mine here do, the 2 or 3 that we have, let me know. I'd love to hear down below what the deal is with that. Maybe it's something I don't know. I'm not in the industry, never have been, probably never will be. But if they don't know what trades are, it explains why they don't understand how important manga is right now. But again, maybe there's something I don't know. Fill me in, inform me down in the comments below. Anyway, love you guys. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you. What made you either continue to go to Comic-Con in your area, or like the big ones like SDCC, or what? I'd love to hear all that down below too. I don't know if I'll ever go again, to be honest. It feels like it's such a shitty, watered-down version of what it used to be now. And it's not like they're all posers type of mentality. It just, dude, it was so bad this year that they didn't even have like any vendors for food. They had like one that was selling fudge and one that was selling like nachos. Not hot dogs, not burgers, not fries. Nachos. Yeah. So you can imagine what it smelled like in there. Anyway, thank you all for watching, guys. Sorry for the long, rambly video. I just had to put all this into documentation more for myself than you. Thank you all. God bless you again. Catch you later. And goodbye.